Welcome to another episode of the Say Hey Jax podcast. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe on Instagram, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you listen. All right, everyone, as promised, welcome back to the Say Hey Jax podcast. And I'm here with my friend Joann, who is a resident of Jacksonville, Florida, even though she's not originally
I'm not a
from
resident of Jacksonville.
she works and lives in Jacksonville. There we go. So there you go. And so today we're just going to talk to Joann a little bit about who she is and what she does in Jacksonville, some of the organizations that she is a part of, some of the great things that she sees for Jacksonville's future, and some of the things that she thinks Jacksonville could grow in. And so without further ado, welcome, Joann.
Thanks for having me, Shannon.
Yes.
Good to be here.
Yes, thank you so much for agreeing to do this interview. I really appreciate you supporting this podcast.
Of course.
Yeah, it means a lot to me.
I hope I can answer all of those questions that you
that
you threw out there.
I think you can answer them a little bit better than you know. And so we're just going to flow with the conversation, and we just like to hear a little bit about you. How did you end up in Jacksonville? Where are you from originally?
I'm from Atlanta. Worked with the Home Depot. Moved here. A company was purchased by the Home Depot. So I've been working with their voice of the customer, or as everyone knows now, experience. Because experience is the new black. So just understanding what those experiences mean to the customers and how that looks as far as revenue and loyalty. And we also do some things looking towards the future, how we can better serve the customers with all of the AI coming out. And just COVID just opened the world for how we can actually provide a better experience and provide that experience faster. So from
That's
a financial standpoint, I look at the dollars to see if the dollars are where they need to be. And if not, then you start looking at the experience and why the dollars are not meeting expectations.
Right. Okay. And so that's really interesting. So why do you believe that? I mean, because Home Depot, honestly, I mean, they're based in Atlanta. Why Jacksonville then?
The company Interline Brands was purchased by the Home Depot. And because they are an MRO, maintenance, repair, and operations type company for multifamily units, for government, schools, those type businesses, janitorial supplies, light bulbs, probably pieces of the mic that you're using. So there was a headquarters here, and they just, why not? Call center was here. Distribution centers were here. Some were here. So why not have a corporate headquarters here for what was affectionately known as Home Depot Pro, which was just a subsection of the larger Pro organization within the Home Depot that's located at the SSC, the Store Support Center in Atlanta.
Wow. Okay.
So I'm here.
Right.
Had started looking at moving back to Atlanta late 2019. And of course, we all know COVID hit in March 2020. So you're working from home. There is no motivation for businesses now to pay moving and living expenses. And then with the recession that we're in, I have a very low interest rate on my home. And I could probably get that, with my credit rating. However, just finding a place to be, back in Atlanta and finding the cost, that you want to spend would be something that I'm not sure I want to take on. But if I'm supposed to be there, I got to make a way, whether I can afford it or not.
Right. Yeah.
Whether my pockets will accommodate the cost or not.
Right.
I guess always will. So I'm here.
So you're here and you're open to moving wherever. However, you've also made yourself a part of the community. And so you are on a very special board. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So there is a women's board for Wolfson's Children's Hospital. Don't know how many people are familiar with that, but you can come to Wolfson's whether, you have the funding or not. It's open to all people, and typically mothers who may have special needs, they may be diabetic or they may be hypertensive. they've been able to diagnose very early on in the pregnancy that there's going to be issues with the child, or with the childbirth. So just a place where families can come if they're having those kind of issues. A lot of mothers that come already have children, a child or children, and they end up being in the hospital sometimes. When they say bed rest, they mean bed rest. So they end up being in the hospital sometimes for 6 months,
Oh,
or
wow.
the full
Okay.
pregnancy. So you want to be able to see your children, continue to bond with the children that you have, or if you have a spouse, or if you have other family members that you bonded with, prior to becoming pregnant, then you want to still have those opportunities. So this organization raised funds. We bring in speakers. We've had Tim McGraw, we've had Caroline Kennedy,
Wow.
we've
Okay.
had, I can't think of his name now, top news anchors come in. Allison Felix was here. Jen Arnold from The Little Couple.
Oh,
She's the
yeah.
neonatal doctor, very like a brilliant person. I got an opportunity to meet her. So we bring in various organizations also, very big at TPC. Money is there, so we make sure that we're there as well to dig into those pockets. And we were able to raise enough money to renovate the neonatal unit
That's
at
amazing.
Wilson, and it's fabulous. It's like, okay, so can I spend the night? But it is a place that accommodates families. So if a spouse or child, and I say spouse, but typically it's children that have a difficult time. Of course, the spouse is like, what's for dinner, but the children, being away from their mom for an extended period of time, is not good. So we want them to be able to come, have a space where they can actually spend the night, not an extended stay, but actually, just come and spend the night and know that there's something they can look forward to, a day out of the week. You can spend the night with mom on Friday night, so it gives them the opportunity to do that. We also developed this app. Well, I didn't because I'm not technical, but they also developed an app so that the mothers can monitor their health, their blood pressure.
Oh, wow.
You just, put on a device and plug it in, and, they can monitor their blood pressure when they're not in the hospital, and different types of other areas. So they are able to monitor. If they recognize something is going on, then they can come into the hospital versus having to go to a doctor to say, oh, your blood pressure is high.
Right.
It's like, okay, my blood pressure is blah, blah, blah. You send it in to the hospital, and they will either tell you come in or not, or make some recommendations for things you can do to lower it.
That's very interesting. So it sounds like, so this is what it sounds like to me, that you are, attached to Home Depot, and also Wolfson's. So these are places that are actually, known for innovation, technology, culture. And so now I have to ask you this. You are, embedded in these organizations, but you've been in Jacksonville and you've experienced Jacksonville. What are some opportunities that you think the city really could take a look at to grow?
I think the sense of community, quote unquote. Um, you hear the saying, it takes a village. Well, in order to have a village, you have to have community.
Yeah.
And if I don't know anything about Shannon and where Shannon lives and, Shannon's friends and, on and on, then I'm not really part of the community because I just know about where Joann lives. I may have a couple of friends that I associate with, or I may not. But when you actually become hands-on in the community, roll your sleeves up and see, oh, there's actually a need here. Because going back to Wolfson's, there was a garden outside. Well, there was a space for a garden outside of one of the main units, and it just had not been tended to. I mean, the furniture was, I guess you could still call it furniture, but the whole area was like very degraded. So no one would really want to walk out. I mean, just to get out of the step, you had to step over a cracked piece of cement just to get out. So nobody would go out because you don't know if you can come back in alive or not. So it was actually members of the community that
Whoa.
did a lot of that work. You know, we would have events. So if we were at an event and we'd say, oh, we're doing this, and one of the things we're working on is the garden, so we were looking for plants, et cetera, et cetera. We were really just looking for free plants, and ended up having people come in and do some of the work. So
That's incredible.
So just community, I think, and how do you do that? Have events, and like you said, just say, "Hey, Jax," you see someone. I think sometimes we tend to be a little bit closed off just because we have so much going on in our own lives.
Yeah.
But if someone actually stops and says, you know, when someone stops and says something to me, we will engage in conversation.
Yeah.
Now, whether we exchange numbers or not, we at least engaged in a conversation, and you realize that there is, you know, something else or another part of Jacksonville that you didn't know about. And I did serve jury duty. People don't want to do jury duty. I learned so much, and I actually made a couple of contacts, you know, in jury duty, so that we still remain in contact with. Actually, I can't think of her name now, but one of the ladies and her husband owned the water taxi.
What?
So I'm like, I never knew that. And we took the water taxi, you know, when it was running any number of times and didn't know.
Right.
So,
Didn't even, right. So
so
made that connection just by saying hello and doing a civic duty.
and doing a civic duty.
Right.
Yeah.
And so with Wilson's and Home Depot, do they ever offer other like volunteer opportunities to the community?
Do you mean as far as having the
Like with the garden?
community?
Yeah.
Typically, because it's more of a giving back
Got
than
it.
asking. You know, they do a lot with the military. They do a lot with Habitat for Humanity, which I was a part of when I was in Atlanta. They would not let me use any power tools.
Oh.
Joann, bring us the hammer, please. So, it's more of giving back to the community versus, you know, if someone, you know, would see us out, you know, they would be working on a home. If someone wanted to, you know, come in and say, hey, you know, I have this that I can bring over. Or I have a couple of guys that, you know, that would be more, you know, that would like to help, you know, because they also think, but, you know, as far as saying, hey, we got this project going on, who wants to, you know, who wants to participate? Because it's more of giving back.
Got it. Yeah. Oh, that's really great. That's fantastic. So love the fact that they are actually involved in the communities where they are. That makes a difference. That definitely makes a difference. Those are organizations that you can probably trust. What about some things that you have enjoyed in Jacksonville? Like, are there any museums or any festivals, anything like that that you have attended that you've liked?
Well, I'm a country western person. None of my friends are. I mean, I love all music, but you know, give me a country and western festival, and I'm there. My first year here, and I think it was the first country western festival that was in Jacksonville. It was a 2-day festival. I was there all 2 days. I had parking right up front, so I could get into the. I think it was at Veterans Memorial.
Okay.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed that. Love Earth, Wind and Fire and Chicago. So both of them here. I am I like the symphony. When we were in the office, Jacksonville Symphony had the coffee chat on Friday mornings at 10. So I just mosey on down for that, which was really good. I saw the Ritz Chamber at Common Museum. They were there one day, like at 2 p.m. And I thought we were close, you know, the office like 5 minutes away. I'm going over. So a couple events at the Marsh Museum. What's the other one that's here? Does it begin with an M? That's downtown. Mocha. Yeah. A couple of events there. And then recently did the Van Gogh.
Yeah. The immersive experience.
Yeah, the immersive experience. So I've done a few things here. Some people that you talk to say, oh, there was nothing to do in Jacksonville. I'm like, there's always something going on.
Yeah.
You know, you just have to be willing to look for it. We did the Cowford restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of years ago, I think it was in 2019, right before COVID. Um, and I like the Kentucky Derby. I try to get there, a few times
Mm-hmm.
within a 10-year period. But they actually had, a little event, rooftop event. We
Mm-hmm.
went in with our hats. I'm not really a hat person, but I had a hat on
Uh-huh.
because, that was part of getting in.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
there are all kinds of events. You just have to be open to
That is phenomenal.
going a little bit further down the road.
Yeah. Yeah. So I do have a couple more questions for you. So with what you're saying, I'm sure you go alone, I'm sure you go with people. What is your advice to people about building community in Jacksonville? What are some of the things like that are easy and maybe some challenges that people might run into, do you think? Or you can speak from personal experience as well.
I just, you just have to be open.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is not going to be in your back door, be at your back door. So
Yeah.
if there is something, there's an event or even a restaurant that's, say, 30 minutes away, be able to go in because
Mm-hmm.
who knows, you might really like it.
You might really
And I
like
do
it.
speak from experience on that. But, we have these assumptions in our minds or these
Mm-hmm.
perception of how something is going to be, so you don't try
Mm-hmm.
it. And it's not like I'm asking you, let's go to this restaurant 35 miles away every day. I'm like, let's go every now and then,
Mm-hmm.
or let's go once. If you like it, then we can go, every other month or
Yep.
once every 6 months, or just making an annual visit.
Yep.
But I find that you have to make that offer
Mm-hmm. Yep.
because most of the people that I've made offers to have accepted.
Mm-hmm.
There are some that don't, and I'm like, you're
Right.
lost.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're lost.
Yep.
So
So just being
just
open.
being open. I
Yeah.
think just being open.
Mm-hmm.
If you're considering moving here, or you just, feel like there's nothing to do, just, get up one Saturday morning. And even though this is in Jacksonville,
Mm-hmm.
the place that I'm mentioning, I just woke up one Saturday morning, thought, I'm going to Savannah. How close
Yeah.
is it? I can
Mm-hmm.
go, or I'm going to Hilton Head. How close is it? I can
Yep.
just get in my car and go,
Yep.
or St. Augustine, and I think once you get the idea that you can just get up and go,
Mm-hmm.
maybe you start getting up and going.
Yep. Exactly. That's so
Because you don't
good.
have to do it every week.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you do it once, you like it, you do it again. If
Yeah.
not, you don't do it again.
That is
Like
really
with
good.
anything. So
That is really good. I love that. I love it. Just be open and then get up and go. Joann, where do you see, if everything keeps going the way that it does in Jacksonville, where do you see Jacksonville in the next 5 years?
oh, and see, it depends on so many things.
Mm-hmm.
And the key thing is going to be the next president.
Mm.
Um, there's a lot of tension. I feel there's a lot of tension. There are a lot of silos. Um,
Mm.
there are a lot of prejudices, and I don't even want to say there's a lot of racial prejudices. There's just a lot of those.
Tensions, would you say, or factions, or?
It's just those preconceptions and
Mm.
lack of community. So I believe that this area is this. And it's not
Mm.
really, because you just haven't visited. You have this,
Mm-hmm.
preconceived ideas of how something is going to be or how a
Mm-hmm.
person is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
We are very discriminating when it comes to looking at someone and deciding, they probably aren't going to be my type, or they
Yes.
probably aren't going to want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And it just goes back to being open. So
Yes.
unless we become a community of people within the next 5 years, I don't know what exactly could
Yeah.
happen,
Mm-hmm.
because there's not a lot of connectivity. That's why I thought this was such a great idea. I thought, we always
Mm.
think about, I wish things were better, and don't do
Uh-huh.
anything to make it better. So I think
Mm.
this is a step in
Mm-hmm.
the direction towards making it better.
Yeah, yeah, and thank you for saying that. I will say I completely agree with you that it's up to us, what the next 5 years looks like. We are, we know that, Shad Khan, the Jags, we have these, or like Wolfson's, Home Depot, all these organizations. We have these wonderful like cultural experiences, like, the Cummer Museum, MoCA, we have all of these things at our fingertips. And so it's great to have these things to do. But the thing is, if we're not connecting with each other, what difference does that make?
And what difference does it make? Because we have, I think there are a lot of activities, a lot of things to do. But if you do it all by yourself, I mean, typically, and I used to be horrible. I used to be that person that I'm on a mission. Don't talk to me. Don't speak to me. I'm here to have a good time. And I don't want to talk to anybody while I'm having a good time.
Right.
And I think we get so in our heads as to what direction we're going on or going into. One of the VPs that I used to work with said, if you don't stop to take the time to see what's going around you, you will miss it. You'll miss it every time. And you wake up one morning, it's like it's 5 years later, and I've done none of the things that I wanted to, because you're focused on going where. What's the plan? How are you going to get there? What are you going to do once you get there? But we're just always on the plan of going and getting there. And slowing down sometimes, you never know who you're going to meet along the way. Who could actually be part of that journey, part of enjoying that journey.
Yes. I love that. It's so true. You do have to stop, slow down, and look around. Look around, or you just might miss it.
You'll miss it.
You just might miss it. And so, it's up to us, essentially.
And those moments don't come back. Someone may speak to you, and I've learned, I'm trying to be more open, have this open face, or this inviting, spirit that says, okay, it's okay if you speak to me. Versus don't do it. And sometimes people just need someone, they just need you for the moment. And sometimes that's all we're there for in people's lives. It's just for that moment,
So what you're saying is that a simple hey might be all that's needed.
Yep, simple hey
is the simple hey.
Because people are so tense now. They don't know who they can say hey to.
Right.
So I'm a hey person. I'm always, hey. Right. What's up?
So to wrap it up, pretty much, I love the fact that you were able to take some time to interview with the podcast. That's amazing. Especially with somebody as busy as you are. As you know, we were supposed to do a recording, and then you had to, I got something kind of important to do for our CEO, so I really can't do it. So it's kind of a big deal that you would be here, take some time to sit and chat, just about your life here in Jacksonville, and also, some of the things you see that are really good, and some of the ways that we can grow and change together, So thank you so much for your time, Joann. I was going to call you Jacksonville girl, but thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Wouldn't have missed it.
Awesome. All right, you heard it here. My friend Joann giving us a nice little slice of her thoughts about Jacksonville, and just hoping that you're going to take her up on her advice. Be open and take a minute to look around and see what's going on, or you just might miss it. Don't miss it. All right, I'm Shan. I go by Sunny. And now that we've met, you can say hey.
Hey.
Thanks so much for listening to the Say Hey Jax podcast. Got something to say? Email us at heythere@sayheyjax.com. Like, share, subscribe.